today on 15 on 15.
This Pittsburgh's WTA News Report brings great misconception about our One Happy Island. The Aruba Hotel and Tourism Association discusses the challenges the hotel industry faces for 2016. And we get all the details and updates on the spay and neutering campaign by the Puti and Tara Beach Resort. Thank you for joining us on another edition of 15 on 15 right here on Channel 15 ATV with Daniela Piazzi. First of all, I would like to wish you all a great start to the week. Now let's get started with our latest local news topics. There has been a lot of misconception about the Zika virus being present right here on the island. The mosquito-borne illness, which has been spreading throughout the several Caribbean islands, South America, and North American states and countries, has brought fear to many communities and specifically pregnant women. Countries such as Colombia, Peru, and Brazil have even suggested that women postpone any planned pregnancies until 2018 to avoid the birth of children with the microcephalus disease. Although visitors from around the globe arrive in Aruba each and every day, not one case of the Zika virus has been confirmed as of yet. The following video is a news report from the WTAE station in Pittsburgh, which brings great confusion about both Aruba's beautiful beach sceneries and the presence of the Zika virus on the island.
Ryan spoke with me tonight via Skype. She grew up here in the Pittsburgh area in Scottsdale. Now she lives out in Philadelphia, though, and that's where she is stuck because Sarah is 18 weeks pregnant. She should be headed to Aruba with her husband on a trip celebrating before the baby comes, but the threat of the Zika virus has canceled their plans.
It's terrifying at first, so we kind of just kept an eye on the news, what was going on, did a lot of reading, and then made a decision yesterday as to what we were going to do.
That decision was to cancel. Sarah Ryan and her husband should be jet-setting to Aruba, having fun in the sun before welcoming their baby in June. But instead of excitement, she's been panicked over Zika virus, which can cause birth defects in babies if their mothers contract it through contact with mosquitoes. Sarah says the decision to cancel came at her doctor's recommendation.
She said absolutely no travel to the Caribbean at all until they figure out what's going on and how big of a risk everything is.
That risk is high and growing by the day, with as many as 30 cases reported in 11 states here in the U.S. So far, none confirmed in our state. But it's forcing many expectant couples to cancel Caribbean travel to these affected areas, worrying now about whether they can get their money back.
We are flying with American Air, and they said, we could possibly be refunded, but we have to go through their refund department.
And that's not an easy process.
So we need to submit paperwork like our merit certificate. We have to submit the letter from the doctor on their letterhead, and then they'll make a decision from there. So at this point, we don't know anything yet.
Then there's the question of what to do now with those vacation days. Sarah is hoping they can still travel somewhere safe like the Florida Keys or California. Now, obviously, Sarah and her husband want to be refunded for the trip they can't take, but she tells me even if they don't see a dime, she feels the risk of traveling despite that warning is just not worth it.
This is one in many news reports in the United States that have been causing American citizens to cancel their trips to the island, which is very dependent on the tourism industry. Once again, there has not been any reported Zika virus cases on the island as of yet, and we'll be sure to keep you updated if in fact this mosquito-borne illness reaches Aruba. In other news this week, the Aruba DV Resorts has announced a multi-million-dollar renovation which will be taking place in spring of 2016. Another Aruba hotel is getting an upgrade. The DV Dutch Village Beach Resort will be undergoing a multi-million-dollar property upgrade beginning in spring of 2016. The project will modernize and enhance the resort with changes including exterior improvements to balconies, railings, and roof, to new furniture, lighting, appliances, and upgraded bathrooms in all 1, 2, 3 suites. The property's kitchens will also receive stainless steel appliances, cabinets, and granite countertops, and the property's pools, decks, and areas will be upgraded with the addition of a new lobby building. We'll be back with more 15 on 15 after a quick commercial break. When we come back, the Aruba Hotel and Tourism Association discusses barriers to overcome for this year ahead. us right here on Channel 15 ATV. There are an outstanding amount of factors which can make or break any tourism industry. Any small change in the world can have a ripple effect on any individual's decision to go on vacation. Therefore, it is crucial for Aruba to always maintain a very flexible strategy that can adapt to a variety of situations. The Aruba Hotel and Tourism Association discusses with us the island's challenges to face for the year to come. The economy, the weather, airfare, and security are all factors that play a role in a potential visitor's decision to pick their vacation destination. Aruba has proven to be a market leader throughout the past couple of years, despite the strong tourism destinations in the region. But just the sun, sand, and crystal clear waters do not make it an obvious choice to spend the holidays. There are a variety of factors that Aruban tourism entities must always stay aware of.
One of the huge challenges of any tourism sector is that you're so dependent on what happens in the rest of the world, over which you have no control. And you just have to be conscious of the fact that you're going to have to respond in as positive a way as possible, but be very flexible, very nimble, that if it's not working in this market, then you have to switch to another market. And that's why we want as much flexibility as possible in the way that we operate our hotels. Because if you're tied into an old business model and you can't respond, then you're really going to have some challenges.
When looking back at 2015, the North American market has remained to be Aruba's strongest. This is largely due to the stability of the exchange rate of the Aruban florin to the American dollar, a luxury that many destinations do not have.
In general terms, the U.S. business has been strong, which has been good. I mean, last year we're probably going to see about an 8% increase in U.S. visitors, and a lot of that business goes into the hotels, into the timeshare resorts. So continuing that kind of growth is very important for the destination. We're concerned about what has happened in other markets, however, because of the relationships between their currencies and the U.S. dollar. The value of the Canadian dollar, for example, is now about 70 cents US. It's down substantially from what it was a year ago, and which means that Aruba is that much more expensive for Canadians. For Europeans, of course, with the euro, again, the value of the euro against the US dollar has fallen, and so has the British pound.
Aruba typically experiences its tourism high season throughout the months of December and January, but sadly this was not the case this year, greatly due to the unusually warm weather on the East Coast.
And we think partly that was due to the weather in the United States. It's been unseasonably warm. I think over the Christmas holiday period it was like 70 degrees Fahrenheit in New York, which is totally unusual, but of course they had the winter storm this past weekend, so reminding them that winter does still exist. So maybe that's going to help picking up business. I mean, we understand that February is beginning to pick up and March is looking reasonably strong, so that's good.
Turning the page, recently, the honored American travel journalist Peter Greenberg visited the island to share Aruba's beauty with the world and its travel show, Travel Detective. In past shows, we have shown you how he encourages visitors to get off the beaten path by visiting the rougher side of the island and experiencing the local cuisine. Finally, on Mr. Greenberg's last Aruba segment, he shed some light on the island's green initiatives. Check it out.
Aruba isn't just conserving nature, it's harnessing it. What makes this climate so perfect, the trade winds, are also an energy source. The Vanderpeet Wind Farm now provides 20% of the country's energy. It's also become an unofficial tourist attraction. Even basic transportation here has received a kind of green makeover. I jumped on a battery-powered tram, the first of its kind in the Caribbean, with Aruba's Prime Minister, Mike Iman.
So is this Aruba's first train?
This is, well, like 100 years ago we had some rail transportation.
But then it went away.
Then, yeah, that went away.
So this is the first real train transportation,
This
if you
is
will.
and it's a light train and fits within our concept of a sustainable development for Aruba.
How do you define sustainable?
For us, it is reducing everything that has to do with utilizing crude and oil products and focusing a lot on wind and sun energy. We already have 20% of our total capacity is based on windmill farm we have. By 2020, we're going for 100%.
And the tram is just a part of Aruba's plan to transform it into one of the most sustainable countries in the world. The island is also creating new green spaces for both locals and visitors to enjoy, because there's nothing like pedal power for reducing those carbon emissions.
Now, one of the cool things about Aruba is something called Linear Park. It's the longest bike trail in the Caribbean. Now, the really cool thing about it is it starts at the airport, and by the time they finish, it'll take you the entire length of the island. Want to know something even more cool? When you go off the path. In fact, it's called To the Beach and to Lunch.
Don't go anywhere, because we will be back with more 15 on 15 after a word from one of our sponsors. After the break, this campaign is already bringing real changes to the overpopulation of street dogs on the island. Thank you for staying with us right here on Channel 15 ATV. Bukuti and Tara Beach Resort has recently debuted their spay and neutering program to diminish the overpopulation of street dogs on the island. Within the few short weeks since it has begun, the program has had a surprising amount of registrations, and the community is getting eager to get involved. We met with the Bukuti and Tara Beach Resort Director of Sales and Marketing to find out how it all got started. The goal behind the Stimami Steralisami campaign is simple: to combat the overpopulation of street dogs on the island, which is not only an eyesore to both the urban community and the island's visitors, but it is also heartbreaking to think of the future they face.
So we believe the only way is to give it a shot is to lower the threshold by making the rates lower, so that the people may be more inclined to do the surgery on their pets. And we have found that indeed it's been well received, because we had been told actually that there's a cultural reason people aren't, spaying and neutering, and that maybe a reduced rate wouldn't help, but apparently it has. We have 1,000 registrations already and still coming in. Those are just the ones we have processed so far, because we have to pick them up at all the different vet offices. So we consider it a much faster success than we expected, which is great news for the island in general.
And the process is quite easy. Simply visit the Stimami Steralisami webpage to register your Kanuku cat or dog, or a street dog you would like to sponsor. You can also sign up at your local vet. Once the process is complete, Bukuti and Tara Beach Resort subsidizes a large part of the fee. Additionally, you will also have the option of microchipping your pet for free.
The idea of the campaign has to do with the fact that Aruba, of course, is facing this problem with the overpopulation of dogs and cats on the streets. And we've always wanted to help with this program, and we believe that the only solution is to spay and neuter the dogs and cats on the island. But there's a very large threshold for that. A lot of people don't do that with their pets on Aruba. And plus, we have the problem on the streets. So we believe the only way is to give it a shot is to lower the threshold by making the rates lower, so that the people may be more inclined to do the surgery on their pets. And we have found that indeed it's been well received, because we had been told actually that there's a cultural reason people aren't, spaying and neutering, and that maybe a reduced rate wouldn't help, but apparently it has. We have 1,000 registrations already and still coming in.
But why is an adults-only Aruban resort getting involved in this type of initiative?
Partly is that we have a great love for animals. We're a green hotel, we do a lot for the community to begin with. We're a sustainable hotel, but we also have a great love for animals. We already had a pet program where we sponsor for our own employees to adopt pets, and even our guests can adopt maybe a dog that they find on the beach or on the street, and we help them take it back home where they live. So we've always had this love, and we see that there's a major problem with dogs and cats suffering on the streets. They either get sick, or they starve, or they get killed in the kill cages. We have thousands that get killed every year in the kill cages, and and it's also a disturbance to some people. So we've always believed that this should happen. We've never been able to find a program that could actually sort of be a long-term campaign. There's these little one-shot campaigns, and we don't believe that's a solution. It helps, but we need a long-term solution.
For more information or to register for the program, you can visit stimamisteralisami.com. Thank you so much for watching. These were your local news updates and trending Aruba topics. Be sure to like our 15 on 15 Facebook and Instagram page for all of your latest news updates. Also, don't forget to tune back in tomorrow night at 7:15 p.m. for more 15 on 15 right here on Channel 15 ATV. See ya then.